Ladies and gentlemen, if you live and this is the weather update, by the way. If you live in Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and like the Virgin Islands, I suggest you guys need to evacuate this before the Labor Day weekend. Believe that. For those of you that don't know what's going on, it's Lions Den. Um, and this is the weather report. Really, it's possible hurricane headed towards Florida. So you got a tropical storm named Dorian, and is expected to make a landfall between Puerto Rico and possibly Dominican Republic. So according to the Weather Channel, they said wind gusts is at 50 miles per hour. Excuse me, winds at 50 miles per hour, gusts is at 65, moving northwest at 13 miles per hour. So it's already a tropical storm, and it's gonna strengthen within the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to go ahead and read this article again. This is from the Weather Channel. I'm gonna go ahead and upload this. It says Tropical Storm Dorian may impact Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, the Bahamas, and possible Florida over the next several days. Dorian can intensify to hurricane strength. Dorian's center passed near the south coast of Barbados last Monday night, producing a wind gust up to 55 miles per hour at Grantley Adams International Airport. Rain and storm winds have decreased in the Windward Islands as the center of Dorian pulled away, but heavy rains have continued in parts of the Leeway Islands on the north side of Dorian. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Puerto Rico, Vieques, Cabrera, and the British and the U.S. Virgin Islands. That means tropical storm conditions 39-73 miles per hour are expected there within the next 36 hours. A hurricane watch is also in effect for Puerto Rico. Hurricane conditions 74 miles per hour or greater winds are possible there within the next 48 hours. A tropical storm watch is in effect for parts of the northeastern Dominican Republic. Tropical storm conditions are possible there within the next 48 hours. Dorian will soon turn more to the northwest and move across or near Puerto Rico from Wednesday afternoon into early Thursday. The latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center calls for Dorian to be a strong tropical storm which it reaches Puerto Rico. However, the intensified forecast is challenging. So I'm going to stop right there until, reaction will finish loading up the article. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you live, I'm just going to tell you right now, for those of you who watch, my videos, who are a fan of mine that lives in the islands, like the Virgin Islands, like in Puerto Rico, and the parts of the DR. If I were you guys, I would have seek shelter or try to see if you can be evacuated. If you travel there, if you having vacation there, if I were you, I would go ahead and evacuate immediately, because this storm could possibly turn into a hurricane, and people need to be watchful, especially in Florida, in Miami, in Fort Myers, all them areas. Y'all need to be very, very watchful and alert, because this storm, it will possibly head it towards your direction. Um, so I'm gonna continue reading this. It says, sea surface temperatures are warm ahead of the system, favoring intensification. On the other hand, dry air and some modest wind shear over the eastern Caribbean may pump the brakes on any rapid strengthening. So you see, and I'm still waiting for reaction to upload the article more. So you see the map, ladies and gentlemen. The tropical storm is already towards Puerto Rico, and it looks to me it's going to bypass um, parts of the Dominican Republic, and it's going to overlook Cuba. But it looks to me it's going to head it towards Miami, Orlando, parts of South and Central Florida within the next 48 to 72 hours. And this is according to the Weather Channel. So if you guys are vacationing in Puerto Rico or in the Dominican Republic, I suggest y'all need to evacuate immediately. That's my opinion. Y'all definitely need to evacuate immediately because again, this storm isn't. If it turns hurricane status, this is not a joke. This is dead serious. All right. So I'm going to continue this. It says, at any rate, much of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands are expected to be on the wetter north and east flank of Dorian. Rainfall totals of 4 to 6 inches, locally 8 inches, are currently forecast in Puerto Rico, with lighter amounts expected in the Virgin Islands and the eastern Dominican Republic. That rainfall could trigger flash flooding and mudslides. Tropical storm force winds are also likely in parts of Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands are possible in the easternmost Dominican Republic, particularly at higher elevations. Some power outages and tree damage could occur. Okay, and so a lot of people want to know what's going to happen in the Bahamas and in parts of Florida with the storm. It says Dorian's future intensified after it passes near Puerto Rico is still uncertain, but it is possible that Dorian will strengthening and affects parts of the Bahamas and Florida as a hurricane. And I'm gonna stop you right there. So if it's a category 1 or a category 2, I'm telling you guys, if you live in the Bahamas, if you live in Florida, whether it's Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, Orlando, parts of that area, y'all need to continue watching the Weather Channel or any other local weather forecast, because this could be turned into a hurricane if it's going to be a Cat 1 or a Cat 2, maybe a Cat 3, depending on how strong this storm is going to be. But this, to me, people need to be very careful if you live in Florida, if you live in the Miami area, or if you live in Miami or Fort Lauderdale or Fort Myers or either Tampa or Orlando. Y'all really, really need to be prepared. Or y'all need to be evacuating if you have vacation stuff there, because this storm it's not going to be, it's not a joke. Because if it's a tropical storm right now, but it's going to be, Puerto Rico's going to feel the effects. Parts of the Dominican Republic going to feel the effects as well. So again, if you, like I said, if you vacationing in Dominican Republic or in parts of Florida or Puerto Rico, really Puerto Rico, if it's a tropical storm headed towards your way, y'all need to seek shelter. Y'all try to need to seek shelter immediately. If it's the Dominican Republic, some people, and if you vacationing in the Dominican Republic, you guys still have time to evacuate, seek shelter in any way you can. But the biggest thing is now, if it's gained strength and turned into a hurricane and it targets Florida, I'm telling you, if you vacation in Florida, if you live in Miami, if you live in Fort Lauderdale, if you live in Orlando, Tampa, all across southern central Florida, I think y'all need to prepare to evacuate before Labor Day weekend. That's all I'm saying, because this is basically a serious business, and I don't want anybody or anyone to get hurt, due to this storm. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. It says, Dorian's future intensified after it passes near Puerto Rico is still uncertain, but it is possible that Dorian will strengthening and affects parts of the Bahamas and Florida as a hurricane. The effects of possible land interaction, dry air, and wind shear in the Caribbean Sea will dictate Dorian's strength once it moves towards the Bahamas. As of now, the National Hurricane Center predicts Dorian to intensify to a hurricane strength and its move near the eastern Bahamas from Thursday into Friday. This forecast is subject to change. Dorian is expected to reach the east coast of Florida. I'm going to stop you right there, ladies and gentlemen. People that lives in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers, you need to stay alert. It says that Dorian is expected to reach the east coast of Florida as a hurricane this weekend, most likely on Sunday, according to the latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center. So for those of you who lives in the Miami area, who lives in Fort Lauderdale, who lives in Tampa, excuse me, not Tampa, I'm sorry, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers, um, that east coast side of Florida, I suggest if y'all even vacationing there, y'all need to evacuate immediately. Y'all need to seek shelter because it's going to affect Labor Day weekend for you guys. It really is. And this is really a serious matter, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to continue this. It said the threat of tropical storm of hurricane conditions along with a storm surge in the Bahamas along with portions of the Florida East Coast have increased, the National Hurricane Center said late Tuesday. Residents there should monitor Dorian and have hurricane plan in place. So again, this storm ain't no joke. And the state of Florida is now on Dorian's radar. Put it like that. So if again, the thing is that tropical storm. Okay, Dorian's already a tropical storm. So Puerto Rico, along with eastern side of the Dominican Republic, is already on Dorian's radar. But Florida, the eastern Bahamas and Florida, the entire state of Florida is now on Dorian's radar. So again, I'm going to read the maps that is going to really impact the entire state of Florida. I'm being honest. And again, like I said, if you living in the Miami area, if you live in Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers, as I said, Melbourne, Daytona Beach, Orlando, Jacksonville, Florida, which is north. If you live in if you live in the entire state of Florida, I suggest you guys, if you're even vacationing there, I think it's time y'all to leave right away. This is a perfect time, you guys, to leave before the storm hits. Because at the end of the day, I rather want to keep you guys safe than anything. If y'all vacationing in Florida, I think y'all need to leave early. It's the best time to evacuate right now. Plan evacuations happening right now because it's going to happen. According to the Weather Channel, if Dorian hits the entire state of Florida, I'm telling you, it's going to have major power outages. Storm surge is going to get crazy. Water is going to be a lot of water is going to affect. Floods going to be happening in parts of Florida. It's going to be a big mess. Just to let you guys know. And like I said, I even made Miami my second home, so I definitely want to see everybody that's there safe. It also says other parts of the Gulf Southeast coast should also monitor Dorian's progress into next week. Among the merit track possibilities are a track a bit farther north along the southeast coast or an emergence into the Gulf of Mexico after moving through parts of Florida. So I'm gonna stop you right there. So, ladies and gentlemen, after Florida, it depends on where the track's going to be. Whether it's going to be the Gulf of Mexico, which is like parts of Mississippi, Alabama, or Louisiana, or it could go to the East Coast, like from the Carolinas, Georgia. It could be anywhere. That's why I want you guys that lives in the Florida, or if you live in Georgia, if you live in the Carolinas, or if you even live in Alabama, Mississippi, or even Louisiana, or even like Texas, they need to pay close attention of the storm. This is serious, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, this is the end of the article. But ladies and gentlemen, again, if you live in Florida, y'all need to evacuate right now. Really evacuate immediately because so that y'all can really be safe. So it's already hitting Puerto Rico as a tropical storm. Parts of the Dominican Republic is going to be affected. Eastern part of the Bahamas is going to be affected by this. By Labor Day weekend, if you live in Miami, if you live all across the state of Florida, I suggest you guys making arrangements right now to plan on have evacuations in place, because this storm ain't no joke. Especially if they're gonna turn into a hurricane status. This is even. It's not even. This storm. It's not. It's not. It's not no joke. Obviously, it can, after Florida, it could go to the Gulf of Mexico, or it can change and goes to the parts of the southeast coast, or possibly up north to the east coast. But again, you guys need to stay alert. Watch a local weather forecast for any information, or if you, even if you have the Weather Channel, even watch that, because this storm could affect your area real soon, especially if you live in the entire state of Florida. Y'all definitely need to really watch your local weather, or watch the Weather Channel to find out where to go, what evacuation orders, where's near evacuation if this storm hits in your area, in your part, in your city. So leave a comment, tell me what you think about this. Like, click subscribe, and ladies and gentlemen, if you live in every part of Florida, whether it's in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Destin, um, Tampa, Fort Myers, Orlando, um, Daytona Beach, Jacksonville. If you live all over the state of Florida, stay safe, my friends, and always watch the weather for any changes. So that's all I have to say. So leave a comment, tell what you think, like, click subscribe, and remember to click the notification bell for all the news and commentary. With that being said, this is Lions Den signing off. Deuces.